All right, we are live. So, I think there's a lot of like fear mongering in the health industry. The first thing we're gonna talk about is like seed oils. What do you personally think about seed oils?
Seed oils, I don't know much, honestly. So I heard from one that there's like this term or topic considered like the hateful eight that many influencers spread around. We got like canola, corn, cottonseed, grapeseed, rice bran, soybean, and sunflower, and more. And I just don't really understand the whole about it. It's like oil you get from seeds, right? It's from plants. Mm-hmm. So why would that be such an issue? Like, I don't get it. I know there's how companies typically process their seeds to get the oil.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, you want me to redo all this?
No. Just go back to where you were before, because I got interrupted.
All right. So I know there was like two processes companies typically use to process their seeds, and one of which is looked upon more welcoming than the other ones. So there's two processes. One is cold press, and one is where they use chemicals or solvents to extract more oil. So cold press, from what I know, they use some machinery to like crush and press the seeds to extract the oils from it, and it retains their flavor and odor. So, and that's one of the main benefits of it, of being cold pressed. The other one was like refining it. So they would use after cold pressing it to extract more oil. The chemical they use is called hexane. I did find that from a study in June 6, 2025 from Johns Hopkins. They find that the chemical was retained in the oil after processing it. It was actually like left out, and the chemical itself doesn't really cause any health problems, according to many doctors and nutritionists. And that's all I know.
Okay, so the main thing I know about seed oils is that I've been, I guess, part of, you could say, the fear mongering like health side, which I've gone away from that now. My personal opinion on seed oils is that they're not the worst thing out there ever, and there's tons of things you need to dial in before you even think about pulling out seed oils, right? Because honestly, you need to think about like just nutrient density. There's so many like just eating, nutrient dense foods, getting all your nutrients, all that stuff, way before you even ever think about removing seed oils. And personally, I've never really felt any different eating seed oils versus not eating seed oils. And some people say they feel better not eating seed oils. If you feel better not eating seed oils, go for it 100%. Listen to your body, whatever. I don't feel really much of a difference. I mean, I don't really cook with them that much, but if it's in my food, I'm not going to purposely, I'm going to like not choose that oil over something else. But let's say two chips have the same flavor, and one has seed oil, one doesn't. I probably will pick the one without the seed oil. But again, I'm not like scared of them. There's not really anything wrong. I do like cold pressed a little bit better, just because typically with chemical extracted, it is going to be very okay. So what they do is, in the process, is they do bleach and deodorize it with, and then also they use the use of hexane, which that's not really that bad. A lot of that chemical stuff isn't in there, and if it is in there, it's such low amounts that it won't do any harm, right? But the thing is, though, is typically they put it through high heat, and there is some evidence showing that typically with any oil, if you put it through high heat, it slowly destroys it and breaks down the oil and has stuff that you don't typically want in there. And then typically, let's take fast food for example. When you take that oil that is already high heat, the fast food places typically use the same exact oil like over and over again. And they're basically, what you're doing is taking an oil that was already heated up, already extracted, all that stuff, heat it up again, and then you heat it up again, and then you heat it up again. I mean, that's the thing I think of, though. But again, though, it's not the worst thing in the world, and I really don't feel that much of a difference about it. And I don't like people fear mongering over it. And again, there's tons of other things you should dial in way before you even think about seed oils. Like that should not be a first thing at all. That should be a very, very last resort, and you should try it. And again, if you don't feel anything different, then go ahead and eat them. But I do like cold press just a little bit better, because most of the time they retain a little bit more of that nutrients, which I keep talking about. Nutrients is a good thing, and they're a little bit more heat stable too, I believe. But yeah.
Want me to do my missions?
Okay, I have a
Yep. You're good.
couple questions, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Go
So-
for it.
You keep referencing high heat in the processes of companies using chemical processes to process their seed oils and everything to extract more oil.
Yeah.
What structures do these chemicals break down? And so, can you compare the actual industry sector used already to process these oils? Because we have to understand.
You're lagging
300
really
Fahrenheit,
bad.
right? Is where the chemical
Yo, hello?
and processing higher temp and what's needed to break down these chemicals. If you claim that these chemicals, when they break down themselves in their bodies and whatever we eat, that's a serious issue. So I'm wondering when this high break. A few examples.
Wait, hello? Yeah, you were lagging really bad. Can you restate what you
Yeah,
just
I'm right
said?
here.
Can you restate it?
My bad. I think our connection's like awful. But what I was talking about was that you were referencing high heat a lot. So I'm wondering at what temperatures do they break down, and that to industry standards of what they use to process all their oils and everything.
You said like the heat they use to process their oils.
Connection might not be stable.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, because you keep saying high heat temperatures do these chemicals break down?
Do they break down? I mean, are you talking about the oils themselves or the chemicals they use to extract it?
Yeah, the chemicals they use to extract it, because you reference high heat, these chemicals could break down and
I mean, honestly, I think what they do
negative effects on our body.
is I'm pretty sure they use. I'm not like totally an expert on this, but I'm pretty sure they do the heat first, and then they use the chemicals to extract the rest, and then they try to basically they separate the heat between the chemicals, so there's no so nothing breaks down like that or becomes a deadly thing. And again, I mean they aren't gonna let anything.
So the heat.
Yeah, you got it. The heat. Yeah.
So the heat separates the chemical, it burns down the chemicals and leach it into our food and everything, right?
I'm saying it should be a separate process. So, I think they heat it first and then they use the chemicals. I believe. If not, it's the other way around. But
okay, so I have another question. I know you talked about dialing in and that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are people just too focused on specific niche health topics and discussions to the point where they ignore some basic things like their diet and exercise? Do you think they're worried about this seed oils part?
Yes.
To the point where they restrict themselves to certain foods, I can't eat that. Meanwhile, their overall diet's not the most beneficial for them long term.
Yeah.
You should eat your fruits and veggies and your protein, all that stuff, but instead you're worrying about
you're worrying about a little bit of
sunflower in your food or something like that.
Let's say Chipotle, for example. Chipotle typically has nutrient dense, pretty simple food. They do cook in seed oils. Some people are terrified of Chipotle because of that reason, and they would skip over or something like that. When Chipotle can be a healthy and amazing way to get lean protein, good sources of carbs, good nutrients, all kinds of stuff in there, good fats. And then some people would skip over that because of the seed oils. You don't need to be scared of that. Again, though, you don't need to be scared of seed oils. There's no reason to be scared of them.
How people are you?
When do you think this has been a trend? Has this been pretty recent? Where it began and where it ended? Or, well, it's still continuing, but where do you think it began?
I would probably say it's a little bit more recent. I mean, from what I've experienced, the whole seed oil thing, I started my quote-unquote health journey, I don't know, probably 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago now. And it was a thing back then, seed oils. And honestly, I'd probably say, again, it's more recent. I can't really put a date on when exactly, seed oils are terrible, all this stuff. I can't really put a date on that, but it's in recent times, I would say, for the most part. I mean, I'm sure if you go back, because the history behind seed oils is that originally a lot of those seed oils were especially the ones that they would extract with hexane and all that stuff that wasn't cold pressed. they actually used on cars for certain lubricants in certain areas. And that's also too where seed oils get a lot of backlash because like, oh my god, you're feeding us engine lubricant and car lubricant, all that stuff, right? But it, like, what's the word? Like before that, they had typically people would use like lard or beef tallow or some other like plant oil that's different, and you get a lot of backlash because because originally it was on a car, which again a lot of studies say that seed oils typically even the ones that are like using hexane extracted and high heat, there isn't really danger to them, like even if you think there is. But I mean, again though, studies can change, science can change all the time. It gets a lot of backlash, and again, if you feel better not eating seed oils, 100% go for it. But you know your body more than anyone else does, or at least you should, and that's for you to decide, okay? But again, most of the studies say seed oils aren't bad at all.
Okay. Sorry for questioning so much, but
No, you're good.
I know that some of the nutrient benefits that you could get are like your essential fats and everything, like omega-3 and omega-6. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so from Chris, the director of the Stanford at the Nutrient Prevention Center, he found that both omega-3 and both omega-6, they don't cause inflammation. And we don't produce these, so they're essential. So we need to eat food that contain these so we can get these nutrients. They both provide energy, they're both anti-inflammatory, and they help with blood vessel constriction and dilation. The issue is that he noticed across trends from 2020 to current years, I'd say from 2020 to 2025, he found that omega-6, they both do this same, omega-3 and omega-6, they both do the same, have the same benefits. The difference is that omega-6 isn't as, like, I wouldn't say effective, because they do both the same thing. It's just not as, it's not as effective as omega-3. But the issue from that is that because people think that omega-6 isn't as good as omega-3, they start flipping the narrative and think that omega-6 is terrible for you and omega-3 is what you should be eating.
No. There's actually a ratio.
Diet.
There's actually a ratio to that. I believe it's a 3-to-1, or you
say
can
like it's a 1-to-1.
No, I believe there's different ratios, but that they go against. But I'm pretty sure there's a 3-to-1, there's a 2-to-1, and I'm not really sure on if there's any other ratios, but somewhere in between there.
There was a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, no, 1-to-1. That's not bad at all, I don't think. But it just depends on what ratio you follow. Again, though, a lot of people will see that omega-6 that you're talking about and like demonize it. You need both. Just like, for example, you have copper and you have zinc. Most people, they only focus on zinc. They don't focus on their copper. If you take too much zinc, it'll flush out your copper. You need a synergetic balance with zinc and copper, for example. You need a balance with your omegas too.
To balance that.
Yeah. Which there's a lot of nutrients like that you have a balance with. Which again, it's a good. Oh, and there's also, I don't know. There you need a balance. Yeah. All right,
Here's the issue. I feel like most people, again. Go ahead.
I'm gonna end this video right here, and we'll do an intermission. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we are back from our break, and yep, you're good.
So we're continuing off our discussion about what was our previous discussion about?
Seed oils, and like how they're somewhat over demonized. There is some small evidence that it could be slightly bad, but most of that evidence is kind of scarce and a little bit fear-mongered. So,
So now I'm wondering, with all this fear remaining around seed oils and everything, people have opted to other types of fats, like animal fats. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, my thing about animal fats, they are perfect. They are not perfect. Like they're perfect for high heat cooking, okay? They're very, very heat stable. If you're scared of a lot of that stuff, most, if not all of animal fats, from my understanding, very, very high heat stable. The only thing is that you do want to balance out your fats a little bit. I'm not like one that's necessarily scared of like the whole cholesterol thing. I think some of that could be like Like, as long as you're eating a balanced diet, humans are omnivores, okay? We need both plants and animals, okay? We're not vegans, we're not carnivores, we're not any of it in between, any of that crazy stuff, right? We are omnivores, so we need plants and animals. And as long as you're eating plants, you can eat animal fats. Again, don't go, I'm not one to say go ham on your cholesterol, all that stuff. But, you know, like, it's very, very good for high heat cooking. And yeah, I think it's amazing fat. I use beef tallow. Actually, I'm gonna go get some right now. I have some in my kitchen. And I'll show you the fats I use.
We're gonna cut this part out, by the way.
Typically, for high heat cooking, I use beef tallow or I use a coconut oil. I like to actually mix plants and animal fats because again, you're getting benefits of both. Coconut oil, MCTs, tons of benefits, tons of like brain benefits, all that stuff. Your brain loves fat. This right here also has decent amount of nutrients, all that stuff in there. There's some vitamin A, there's some stuff in there. I like to mix both. I also sometimes will use avocado oil. I would like to try duck fat. Honestly, I just mix plants and animal fats together all the time. And it has amazing flavor. I love coconuts. I love beef tallow. So much flavor. So much flavor. Again, these are both very good for high heat cooking. Yeah, so honestly, but like if you take, I'm sorry, I'm maybe getting carried away. If you take an oil like olive oil isn't as good for high heat cooking. It's not as like not as much of a heat stable oil, but coconut oil and beef tallow, avocado oil, other animal fats are typically good for high heat, high stable cooking. I'm gonna go put these oils back. I'll be right back.
We're gonna cut this part out too.
Oh my god, seed oils. I'm so scared. Oh my god. Oh my god. No kidding. But no, my parents use this sometimes for cooking, which I'm not scared of. I don't really typically use seed oils that much. I typically just use coconut and beef tallow because I love, just personally, just the flavor and just like their high heat stable. So I love using them. But again, I'm not scared of this. I'm gonna take a drink. No, okay, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna put this back. This is vegetable oil, by the way, which is typically from soybean oil, which this is bleached and hexane and all that stuff, but I'm not scared. But yeah, so yeah.
So I have a couple questions to your statements about animal fats and everything. I know you talked about how they're good for stable high heat cooking, they have good flavor and all that.
Yeah.
But what about the health benefits? Some people have claimed that animal fats are healthier than seed oils. What is your position on that?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily like quote unquote healthier. And honestly, I mean, it can be healthier, it can be more nutrient dense depending on the animal. But what's the word? It depends on the animal. And it depends on how the seed oils are made too, because like I believe cold pressed seed oils. Also too, it depends on the plant, it depends on the animal. It really just depends. But personally, like with my fats, I literally just mix I mix plants and animals together. So I mean, I get the best of both worlds. Honestly, I think that's what everybody should do. Just mix animal fats with plant fats, and you're goated. You're good. You're good.
I feel like that doesn't fully answer my question, but it's okay. Sorry. What I'm wondering.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. That's a hard one because like I'm not really too sure on how nutrient dense beef tallow is. I heard that it has some vitamins and some minerals and stuff like that in there. But I think they're a little bit scarce. But seed oils, from what I've seen and heard, I'm not really too sure on how nutrient dense those are either. So I really don't know. I don't know what's considered healthier, and I don't know what's considered more nutrient dense. I mean, some people look at the cholesterol and say, oh, it's this. But again, as long as you're eating plants and animals, like plants with the animals, you're fine. But yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. We should maintain a healthy diet rather than just like focus on like what oil you want to eat. It doesn't matter what oil you want to eat. At the end of the day, it depends on what food you're cooking. Like, what do you actually like? Are you eating anything? It doesn't matter if you're like choosing seed oils or like animal fats.
Yeah.
If you're just eating fried foods every single day, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and if you're eating nutrient devoid food, basically devoid means no nutrients, no nothing, or over consuming basically foods that again aren't nutrient dense. Because again, you can eat these foods as long as you're having other foods that actually contain real nutrients and the stuff that your body essentially needs. You know?
So, here's my issue with animal fats, just from what the stuff I've looked at. I haven't heard any major health claims, or, well, there are a lot of health claims about animal fats, but I haven't heard anything real specific on how more beneficial it is compared to seed oils. But what I have heard is that they have some negative aspects to them. Consider this. From the USDA Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee from 2025, an article they posted, they said that animal fats in particular contain high amounts of saturated fat, which could raise cholesterol. They could increase our risk of heart disease and stroke. And furthermore, if I can find this, many different articles varying in their stance on animal fats and how ethical and how knowledgeable they are, but we range from like places, from websites like, from blogs such as like Seed Oil Scouts, all the way up to like government instituted organizations such as the National Institute of Health. These articles range between 2024 and 2025. They've noted that beef tallow, it's around 50% of saturated fats. Butter contains 63% to 68% of saturated fats. Lard contains 39 to 43% saturated fats. And palm oil contains about 50% saturated fats. And most health experts recommend eating less saturated fats. So I really don't see the benefits of picking animal fats over seed oils. I mean, it could be all the chemicals and stuff that we might put in our processes to cook the seed oils and everything, but I just think that there's more negatives to animal fats than seed oils. But I'd say like you should probably eat less saturated fats, and I don't think animal fats are the right fit for me personally.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I mean, I agree. I can see your aspect, but for me personally, I literally just mix both saturated fat, unsaturated fat, like both. I literally just. Like, I think as long as you're eating a mixture of both, you are more than completely fine. Because, I mean, both can be beneficial. And, yeah, and also, too, for example, animal fats, humans have been eating for, I don't know what, like thousands of years? Which, again, this is technically, I mean, yeah, humans have been eating animal fats for thousands of years. Your body has adapted with animal fats. If you look at, like, the history of animal fats and all that stuff. But there has been studies again saying that animal fats are negative, and then there's, like, I mean, I don't know. I just take that with, there's two sides to it. I'm pro seed oil and I'm pro animal fat, and most people are one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum. I'm directly in the middle. I think the middle personally is the best stance, because you can look at this paper, oh, seed oils are terrible, all this stuff, blah blah blah. You can look at this paper, oh, seed oils are amazing for you. You can look at this paper, animal fats are amazing for you. Animal fats are terrible for you. Animal fats are good for high heat stable. Animal fats are this. Seed oils are that. I just literally have a middle stance, and I feel as long as I'm getting proper nutrients, like proper protein, proper carbs, proper fats, all my minerals and vitamins, or at least I try to. I'm not like perfect, you know. I feel as I'm doing amazing, and I feel personally as, again, I mix plants and animals, and I mix a bunch of different types of fats together, or I use this fat one day, this fat another day. Literally, I just feel as long as I'm getting movement, getting proper sleep, I feel I'm doing good. Also, I'm sorry for going on that rant.
I agree with that stance.
Yeah.
I think no, you're doing great. I think I agree with that stance and your position, because I think right now the media is like just trying to divide us between what is better, like A or B. When it turns out that animal fats and seed oils, they aren't that bad. You shouldn't just be eating them all the time. Obviously, you should have a balanced diet, and that's what people ignore and overlook when they try to debate against animal fats versus seed oils. And here's the issue: like, all these are animal fats, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot to talk about beef, and this might seem unrelated, but you know our current health secretary, like Health and Human Services,
RFK, I believe.
Yeah, RFK Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been strongly against seed oils and has instead decided to talk about adding more animal fat to our diet,
Yeah.
particular in the fast food industry, which is weird because the fast food industry isn't very good either way. Like, imagine going to McDonald's and saying, "Oh, they swapped out vegetable oil for now like beef tallow." It's not any better. You're still going to McDonald's. And
Well,
my issue with that is that I know, because here's the thing, I feel like this goes against what you're saying because you switch out, you mix and match up.
yeah.
He's talking about eating only animal fats, only beef tallow, only this, only that. And last year's food guidelines, he's talked about flipping the food pyramid and prioritizing beef and protein over things such as plants. And my issue is that I think that Americans in general have not been eating a lot of fiber, and we've already eaten like a lot of protein. So I think we should cut down the protein and add more fiber to our diets. Kennedy wants the exact opposite, and I think here's the thing, my position on it is that animal fats and seed oils, they're not bad, they're not terrible. I still think seed oils might be slightly better, but that's like minimal. That's like minuscule compared. But here's the thing, if one official prioritizes that one of these are like very good, excellent, healthy, because he's the Secretary of Health and Human Services, that's a big position, and then you demonize seed oils, more people are just going to flock towards the beef tallow and everything. And
I know. You have great influence. You have to there's two ends of, I'm sorry for interrupting, there is two ends of a spectrum. He is going that one side of the extreme. The health secretary before him was also going the other end of the extreme. You need to come together and have a perfect balance. There is a balance to things. And honestly, I think one thing that's underlooked is, yes, sourcing and quality of food matters, but just the individual nutrients, like essential nutrients, make sure you're getting all your vitamins, all your minerals, all your fats, proteins, carbs, which a lot of people are not a lot of people, I would say a decent amount of people actually, statistically, are slightly deficient or somewhat deficient in vitamins, minerals, or certain other nutrients that you actually need. So again, I think the best way to go is humans are omnivores. We need plants and animals, and again, just broad spectrum plants and animals. But yeah, also too, another thing, over processed foods aren't the worst thing ever. That also processed foods are slightly over demonized. Processed foods can actually be somewhat healthy. There is healthy processed foods out there, and even the ones that are considered unhealthy are technically only really unhealthy or a big issue because they're really, really easy to overeat. That's where you get things like obesity and a bunch of other stuff, because people overconsume these foods because they're really, really easy to, they're hyper palatable, which that means they're so tasty. Nom 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 nom. I'm gonna keep eating. My brain doesn't know when to signal to stop or whatever. Yeah, they're way too easy to overeat. That's a big issue. But processed foods, again, they can be healthy. It's just a lot of the time the issue with processed foods is that they are not as nutrient dense, they're nutrient devoid, and they're super easy to overconsume, so you're getting a huge calorie surplus and you're overeating. But they also can be somewhat of a method for athletes and other people to gain weight or to eat more, to basically, because they need those calories, right? Because they're constantly working on their muscles. And they still can eat clean and nutrient dense and all that stuff, but also eat some processed foods here and there. And again, processed foods aren't the worst thing ever. But you can go now, sorry.
So, I'm just wondering did you discuss about hyper-palatable foods and everything?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the industry that has created these food items are trying to, in a way, bribe current government officials like RFK Jr. to propose different nutrient guidelines that would be more beneficial for them?
Honestly, wait, are you talking about the food industry's, quote-unquote, orchestrating some of this, stuff?
Lobbying, specifically the beef industry, because there's some rumors or news sources that have talked about how the beef industry is lobbying RFK Jr. and other health advisors to recommend that Americans should eat more beef.
I mean, Sorry, you.
I don't know how to feel about that. What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely possible. I haven't seen too much evidence or things on it. Again, it's totally possible because again, you have one end of the spectrum. You have, let's take Bill Gates for example. He is so adequate, and meat and cows and all this stuff are terrible for the environment. All this stuff, and like plant me this, plant me that, all this stuff. And then you have the RFK, mainly eat animal foods, all this stuff. Which again, it's definitely possible. But I'm not really too sure on that. I'm not informed enough on that.
And I think that's really interesting because I think their business model, like Tyson Foods, the person that makes all the chicken wings you'll see in like freezers and everything, they make hyper palatable foods. Like if you eat one, you're like, whoa, this tastes weirdly good. Yeah. And they mass produce this, and so I think it works in their favor to lobby with Congress and all that stuff to recommend more Americans to eat more of their food, eat more meat. It's good for you.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that's like a cycle of you eat more of this processed food and all this meat, which contains high saturated fats, which is a lot more than what you need in your daily diet. And I think that leads to all of the cholesterol, heart disease, and stroke problems that we see today. And that's an issue. And I think the demonization of seed oils is also it's a symptom of that. I think it's the result from all of this lobbying and stuff. I think the media is highly affected by major corporations. Because with enough money, I think you can convince the news to do anything. And people watch the news all the time.
Yeah, it has influence. 100% it has influence.
And I just think that with the lobbying, with the convincing, and all of this stuff, you influence more people to be more polarizing. Like, you know, the political spectrum, how there's like the left and the right. Yeah. This feels the exact same. Beef tallow and plant-based foods. It's all the same again. You're dividing us when we should really be having a balanced diet, like you just said before.
You got to balance best of both worlds, all that stuff. And honestly, fear it's one of the, if not the most powerful control and human emotion to control somebody, to make somebody want to do something, to make someone for disgusting towards something else. Fear has so much power. Like, fear is one of the biggest. If you want to control somebody, you make them scared. You make them fear something or feel the need to be scared of something. 100%, yeah.
Yeah, and that's real. I think at some point it might as well just be propaganda. You'll see advertisements from like the 2000s up to now, and you'll see them advertising, you should eat this, eat steak, eat this, look at this juicy steak.
I know.
They'll use descriptive words to make you crave more protein and everything, and I think we need to add more fiber to our diets rather than protein.
Well, honestly, in my honest opinion, if you're going to eat high protein, high fiber. Protein and fiber have typically, most research on the things say they have a balance, because the fermentation in your gut and all that stuff, the fiber helps feed the gut, the protein can help repair the gut lining and repair overall your body. So you need protein and you need fiber, you need both. Because again, fiber feeds that healthy gut bacteria, and protein can help repair your gut lining, repair your body, all that stuff. They're both, okay, technically, protein is essential, okay? Fiber is one of those things that isn't technically essential for survival. Actually, carbs in general aren't technically essential, but carbs are one of those things that are very, 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 very beneficial. So you could basically consider it essential, because without fiber, you're going to typically see some digestion issues. You're going to see some, your gut bacteria won't be as healthy. A lot of those strands won't like your body as much. And then it will rely off something called protein fermentation, which can cause gas and bloating and other issues. Again, though, balance your protein and your fiber. They have a balance, just like your omegas have a balance. So the device I was using is super fried. We gotta wrap it up. My laptop right here basically died. My GoPro was overheating. But this right here is the scenery that we built. And then, what would you like to talk about, sir?
Are we ending this podcast episode?
Yeah, we're gonna end it soon. We have 2 more things to talk about. I want to talk about calorie surplus and calorie deficit.
Okay. What's that?
Oh, sorry. I would like to say, basically, a calorie surplus is where you eat like more than your maintenance weight to try to gain weight for the most part. The thing about calorie surplus is that most people go way too extreme. They over consume foods, and basically that's not good for your health long term, not good for your hormones, not good for a bunch of stuff like that. The best way to gain weight is to slowly gain weight, because honestly then you keep the most amount of muscle, you lose most amount of like fat if you don't want any fat. Basically it's just healthy for your body overall, for your organs, for everything. And then a calorie deficit, most people also go way too extreme. They basically starve themselves. You don't really need to starve yourself. You can go just slowly under your maintenance. And you can calculate this based off of your body weight, your height, and your activity level. It's really easy to do. There's plenty of calculators out there, plenty of resources. But yeah, you don't. And also too, most people don't get proper nutrients. You can get proper nutrients by eating nutrient-dense foods on a calorie surplus or a calorie deficit. Is there anything you'd like to say before we finish off?
I agree with the whole thing that you said, including the last bit, especially the last bit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you try and to eat more or eat less. It just depends on what you're eating, you know? And sure, you can eat the amount of calories that you're supposed to eat, but what are you eating within those calories, right?
Yeah.
Gotta eat your fruits, gotta eat your vegetables, gotta eat all your stuff. Maintain a balanced diet. And that's
that is the main part of this. Don't overcomplicate health and don't fearmonger. All right, I think I'm going to end it here. You got anything else?
Thank you. Goodbye.